Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel Tutor Things. Today in this video, we are going to see all about the thing called as Angular data binding. So, how we have to do data binding in Angular? We have four types of bindings. We are going to see each of them with detailed examples in this video. So, don't skip any part. Watch this video till end so that you will understand what is meant by binding, data binding in Angular. So you already know about the thing, like we have started Angular tutorials, we have covered so many concepts so far, and we are in the part 16 where it is dealing with data binding. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, like, please subscribe and click the bell icon so that you will never miss any update from us, like other video, upcoming video, you will get notified when we upload. So and also share these videos to your friends who are at learning stage of development Angular concepts likewise. So links are in the description. Go find, there are so many playlists in our channel, so that may definitely help you to know the things better. So let's get started. So data binding in Angular, we have this data binding concept, which is very important to know to start with the Angular related concepts. So this is nothing but binding is nothing but how we are connecting the view and the component, like how the view and component communicate with each other. So with the help of binding only it will communicate, right? So we have to map the data. So what a view is nothing but the template which you are seeing, like at the client side you will have the website, right? So what is the visible content should be displayed on the website is written in the form of HTML, that is in the templates, so that we call it as view, right? So component comes under, it's one of the uh, class with the decorator at thread component, call it as a component, right? So in Angular we have different types of components for each individual part, right? So to communicate between view and, like, in MVC how we pass like data, so pass to the view, like similar way here from component to view we have to pass data in order to get displayed in the output. So in Angular, so this calls up this kind of passing or communicating the each other, the data should be communicated between the view and the component can be done by using this binding, so it is called as data binding. So four types of data binding are there. Let's see each and everything with an example. So for that I'm using one online website which is called as Tagbliss website. It's a very cool website to do the things within minutes or no milliseconds. Your environment will be created just clicking the Angular TypeScript kind of thing, so that I will get the updated or latest version of Angular created without any installations and any dependencies. I'm not installing it, is within milliseconds the environment is created. So I can call this as a very good website to practice the things with the online without any high risk of working all the dependencies, installing anything. So you can practice these things if you're at learning stage. After, while you are developing projects, it's better to go with the real environment. So for about this tablets also I have done a video, so go to my channel and you can find out that video also. So you can understand what is this tag bits offering for us and how we can effectively use this. So let's see the first example. So what are the four types? Let's see each and everything. So first type is we have this expression or interpolation. We also call it as a string interpolation. So what this kind of binding is nothing but, by using this kind of binding we can flow the data from component to view. So to want to, if you want to pass data from component to view, like any property or anything, passing of data can be done from component to by using this interpolation. So let's see the syntax of the interpolation. It will be like this, like mustache syntax we call it as, like flower brackets, double flower brackets will be there. You can see that with an example here. So I'm using normal example here. I'm just giving name. So because the name value here we are having something, so what I can want to change is I want to change this as an Angular app as a name. So this is a type script, so you can also tell that what type of it is, thing it is, string type. So I'm giving name variable as a string type and Angular app name. So I'm passing this property which is in the component. This is a data which is present in component level. So I'm passing that with the view. The HTML file is the view we call it as. It is a kind of template also. So here I'm using this first kind of binding, that is interpolation or expression kind of binding. So two flower brackets will be there. Under that, if you write any property name, so the name, so the value for that will be printed here. You can see the output Angular app has came here. So this is one of the best binding we can call it as, like we can match this with any kind of we call it as a any kind of template, like any kind of html kind of thing. So any tag it will be binded and comes as output, like not only h1 of div, like any tag it will mix up and gives the output. So this is called as the first kind of data binding, that is interpolation, or what we can call it as, so interpolation or expression kind of binding. So next we have is a event binding. So in interpolation, it's a just used to display a piece of data in HTML, such as displaying a title or name likewise. So if you can give it as title as a variable, so the title will comes. So whatever the name, the piece of code which you want to display in HTML can be done by using this kind of binding, that is interpolation binding. So next what we have is event binding. So if you want to send any event, like event from the view to component, like if you want to pass any way some click is happen, like if you want to communicate the action which is performed by the viewer to the component level, then you can use this kind of binding, that is event binding. So not only sending an event, but you can also send the variables which you are giving as input, like as any form of kind of thing you can do. Event binding allows you to define events that occurs in the template and communicates to the component class. Let's see this with an example so that you will understand. So for this, what I can do is I can give some button type. Let's see, I will have all the examples here. So now we have written is a button. So button click event I have written, and here see this fifth line. So I have given a click event. So for that we have written some function, that is a show data function. Let's add that function the component level also, so that you will understand. Public, a name of the thing, and where we are passing an event for that, which is of any kind of event. So what I am doing in this thing is I want to log it in the console, like event, or what I can do is, for example, I have written a button, right? So what I want to get is button is clicked, like some text I have written. Okay, now everything is fine, right? So what I can do is I've added one more thing here. So which is, so a string. Okay. Now let's see this example, like event click. So click is the event where I have given some method called as show data, which I am passing some event. So let's see this. I have written in console kind of thing that we can't see here in this hot reloading page. So I'm going it here. So let's see, I am inspecting so that I will get console here. See, uh, what I have telling is event binding. So this observe this fifth line button kind of thing where I have some click event. So here you can see normal brackets. So the syntax for the event binding is this one. So normal bracket will be there. So we by that we can conclude that is an event binding. So click event is there, and some method is there which is show data where we are passing that event itself. So whenever we click here, what click event will be triggered or pointer kind of thing. So next, let's see this example, and I will tell you how we other way we can use this. So whenever I click on here, you can see pointer event is happen here, and button is clicked. So what I have written in that method, this method is calling. So on that event, whatever the click event, I am calling this method. So in that method, what I'm returning that component. So that component and button clicked has came as an output in the console. So instead of that, what you can do is not only that event, but we can also pass a template reference variables. In the previous video to this, we have done template reference variables and template kind of concept. Like we can pass the thing, like you can pass the value which is given as an input to the input box. For example, this is This is a template reference variable. I'm giving as a input name as a template reference variable, and I can refer that variable and I can pass the thing dot value to get that value. So I can pass that thing to this event, so this method, so that this data will comes to in the component level and that will be displayed. So here I'm not passing any event, but I'm giving some data here. I'm sending the data and I want to print that data alone in the console. So that thing. So let's see. Here I am giving some name. What I can give, I'm giving Sam, and I'm clicking here. So you can see the name has come here and button is clicked. So like this template reference variables also we can pass on the click event. Like whatever the event on that event we have to do something, some functionality, some method should be called likewise. So here what you are passing here, some data we are passing from the view level, that is view template level, to the component. Like in component we are using, right? So in component level we are displaying that in the console, or otherwise we can store it in the database. Likewise you can take data from here to anywhere, like backend likewise. So passing data from view to the component, we have this event binding. So that is here that we can see the example, like not only event but you can also pass the data by using template reference variables. So event binding allows you to define events that occurs in the template and communicates to the component class. So here you can see data is communicated, not only event but also data also is communicated. Let's see another type of thing. Next, we have property binding. The property binding is quite similar to the interpolation only. Data flows from component to view only. So here, not only with interpolation, but we can also do data flows from component to view by using property binding. Property binding is quite similar like attribute binding, or we can have a style kind of binding and class kind of binding also we can do. So this property binding let us to bind a property of a DOM object. Like if you have a property of a DOM object, let's consider a value. Some input box we have a value property, right? So for any DOM we have some values. So let's remove this some from this time. So remove this what kind of template reference variables. To want to understand template reference variables, you give to the previous videos we have before this, so that you will understand what is meant by template reference variable. Here you can consider that as a event binding only, like to pass an events we use event binding, let it be. So now what I want to show you is this value will be the property of this input box, right? So now in this input box there is not no values, but we can assign values as a name. I'm giving the name value to here. So this is property binding. So whatever the name Angular app is the name we have, right? In the ts file we have given a name as an Angular app, that is coming into this input box uh, value. Here you can see Angular app. So that value is reflecting here. Whenever I change the value there, like I'm removing app kind of thing, and here you can see it is updated likewise. So whenever we change the value in the component level, that will reflect here in the name value, and I'm attaching that name value to a property of an DOM element by using this property binding. Here you can see square brackets will be used for this purpose. The value is the property of this DOM, and I am assigning some data to that property. Then that can be done by using property binding. So this is a property binding by using square brackets. Data flows from component to view, where it lets to bind the property of a DOM object. For example, not only the value, hidden properties like that, we can set some data to that properties likewise. Attributes also you can set, stylings also you can set, like classes. So likewise we can do. So you can ask me like what is the difference between interpolation and a property binding. So we can use that also, like I will show you the example so that you will understand. So here you can see, so name is there. Instead of giving a name here with property binding, what I can do is I can do interpolation only. Here you can see name is there, interpolation is here. You can see the name of Angular here in this input box only. So why it is getting called, then we can use this only. Now why we are going for property binding, this is fine, right? So you can ask like that, yes this is fine. This is when we go for interpolation and when we go for property binding is most of the cases for giving assigning a value to a property, we go for whatever have property binding only, that is square brackets only. So when you want to fit it in the other places, like including with the HTML tag, likewise we go for interpolation. So one of the best advantage of interpolation kind of thing is it is used to concatenate the strings. Like for example, if you have name here, after that what I can add some more parameter like greetings, one more field I can add. So here's the angular hello. You can see angular hello greetings is the one property which is a string property. I have value in component level ts file, and that is reflecting here. Here you can, I'm concatenating the two strings here. Here we can't do that kind of thing, right? So in angular, so if you're using property binding here, for example, let's consider I'm using the thing. Let's see, I'm using two kind of things here, value. So let's see what's happening. It's a not definable, like you can see it is not taking as a property. This thing we can't do in dealing with property binding. So better to go with the property binding only when we are at assigning values to a dom properties, likewise. So another case to string concatenate, or for titles or displaying names we go for string interpolation, or first type of a binding level. So I think you are clear with the difference between property binding and interpolation, right? So event binding is quite different, to pass an event or to pass any data with that event flow. Likewise, we have event binding here. Next, the one more most important binding which you have to know about is two-way binding. So this is all about one-way binding, right? So passing either data from the component to view or from view to component, we have these kind of things. Now let's see two-way binding of data. So this is nothing but combination of property binding and event binding. Like we can pass the data from component to view and also from a view to component. Okay, let's see this with an example so that you will understand better. So let's see. So up to now here we have seen all these kind of things, like string interpolation, or whatever property binding or event binding is one way data binding. So let's say two way data binding. From this here you have to observe, so these two parameters. So input is there, which is a type of text, and I have the syntax for two-way binding is this ngModel. So where we have square bracket and also normal bracket, that tells us this is a property binding, and also this is a what we called as event binding. So ngModel and ngModel is the syntax. You have to follow this particular ngModel with these two kind of brackets, then we can consider that as a two-way binding. So what we are binding is we are binding this input text value as a greetings parameter. Okay, so that thing will comes in this input box, as well as here also we can print. Like I will tell you 1 minute. You can see here we have a variable, right? Some hello is there. So whatever here will reflects in this input box also. And whenever we change the value from this input box, that will goes to and bind to the property here, and that property will also get displayed in this paragraph kind of thing. So we can refer that with the any kind of binding, like interpolation we can refer that, or from property binding also we can refer that. So this basically ng model is nothing but we can pass data from whatever we are entering in this input will goes to a component thing, or whatever the value are updating at the component level from the back end also displays here in the input. Like it will two-way binding. So whenever we are changing here, that will reflect there, and whenever we are changing there, reflect here. So let's see this with an example. So here hello is there, I'm removing this thing. So you can see here also it's changing. uh, so hi Sam, I am giving. So here you can see here also changing, here also changing. So greetings, whenever we mention greetings, there everything will change. Like it will update automatically. Like whenever we are changing here, that will change there. Like I'm removing hello here. You can see hello name here is vanished. Two-way binding example, this one. So two-way binding example here you can see. So two-way binding means here whenever we are typing value in this test box, it is going and updating the variable which is at component level. So the same variable when we are referring here, here also gets updated. So this is called two-way binding. So whenever we change here, that will reflect there, or whenever we change there, reflect here. Let's say I'm changing this greetings kind of thing here with hi. Let's see. how that will change. Here you can see high before it is other value, but whenever we change it component interval, it is reflecting here. So likewise this is called a two-way binding. Like we are doing a string interpol sorry, passing data from component to view, and also from view to component we are fetching that. So this is called two-way binding. So the syntax will be like this, like we have to give brackets and then ngModel. So this is the syntax. Two brackets will be there. One is square bracket. After that, a normal bracket will be there, and the value should be in the quotates. So where that we in that way we have to assign. So this is all about binding concept. So sorry, ng model and m will be capital. So this is also, this is all about binding. I think everyone has got clear clarity on this, what is meant by binding or the different kind of bindings we have in Angular. So knowing about these kind of things will be enough to get started into creating a new projects on Angular. So in the upcoming videos, we are going to create some applications, like some examples we are doing. So let's get started in those concepts. So before you have to get all those links or videos updates, you have to subscribe and click the bell icon so that you will never miss any update from us. And that's all for this video. If you like this video, give a big thumbs up below and share this videos to your friends and colleagues, and also comment if you have any doubts regarding this, and any suggestions for me to improve, and any more concepts you want to get in Angular, which I have maybe missed by mistake. So you can let me know in the comments so that I will cover those topics also. So that's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. It's a very easy example. You can pause this video and you can take this example and try, and you can also try so many examples, not only click event. So there are so many events, pointer events, likewise. Try with a different kind of examples so that you will get the concepts in a clear way. And that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.